Hello, everybody. I'm East Norriton Township Supervisor Joe Gavanus. Welcome to ENTV. As we have today our special guest, State Senator Amanda Cappelletti. Welcome, Amanda.
Thank you, Joe. It's so good to be with you again.
It's good to be with you too. And, we've had a long relationship together. We started out in 2017 and ran for the East Norriton Township Supervisor positions, and we both won our election. You have moved on since then, so now we have to share you with the state.
I hope you don't mind doing so.
I don't mind at all.
Thank you.
I don't mind at all. And just so people who are used to watching the conversations here with Joe, we have a new venue today. Normally we're in the township building at the dais, and today we are showcasing our multi-purpose Parks and Rec building. And it is a beautiful building, and we hope to have a lot of type of activities here for seniors, for juniors. I participated in the pickleball class recently, so I had 6 weeks of beginner pickleball, and I'm ready for more.
That's so exciting. It's really cool to be here when I was a part of the talks of what we could bring to the township and talking about something like this. So it's cool to be here and see it through to fruition.
And it is great. It is great. So let me go into a little bit of background. For people who might not be in the know as much, you're representing the 17th State Senatorial District, which is part of Delaware County and part of Montgomery County.
Largely part of Montgomery County, yes.
Yeah, and one of the big parts of Montgomery County is right here in East Norriton, and you are a township resident.
I sure am.
And that's great. And your husband Greg, as I noticed on your Facebook page, you count him as a cheerleader.
Yes, my husband is a great cheerleader and supporter in all that I do and that we do here in East Norriton.
That's great. That's great. And you have been, busy in your job.
Yes.
I know you're on several committees, and can you just list them real quick to tell people what you've been doing?
Sure. So I'm the minority chair of state government, which is mostly like the election laws, things that have to do with that come through that committee, as well as a few other things. I'm on communications and technology, health and human services, environmental resources and energy, and judiciary.
And that's a lot. And that's saying a lot because the other thing that I want to mention that people probably know, maybe they don't, is you have a new young daughter who just celebrated her first birthday, but people don't know that you were the first female sitting senator in Pennsylvania to give birth while you were a senator.
That is true. It is kind of crazy to think that glass ceiling still existed, but here we are. We broke that in 2023, and I have a lovely little girl.
And, she's great. Her name's Talia. And I saw recently on Facebook, you took her to Harrisburg with you and bring your kids to work day.
Yeah, as I mentioned, my husband's a great supporter. He took the day off and brought her up. So that first few hours of the day, she was full of energy, meeting everybody. By the time I got her to the floor to meet some of my colleagues, it was just about nap time. Mm-hmm. She ended up falling asleep in my arms while we were introducing her to some of my colleagues.
Well, that's great. And I know, after she was born, you brought her a couple of meetings that I was in attendance with and didn't even know she was there. She was so quiet.
Yeah, somehow I got a pretty calm baby. I'm hoping that stays all the way through.
Well, let me talk to you now since this is a little 5-minute program. Briefly, public school funding. I know you're a big advocate of public schools, and the Governor Shapiro, has in his budget introduced a major increase to fund public schools. And there's sort of a double-edged sword there. We want school districts to be equally funded, and we know even in your senatorial district here in Norristown, which covers east, west, and the borough of Norristown, the Norristown School District is not up to that, and they need that. How do you see that working out over the long term?
So I think the important thing to know here is back in 2010, 2011, the budget for public education funding was significantly slashed. And that's when we started to see significant increases in property taxes because our public schools needed to find a way to provide the funding for schooling. And that has continued to be a problem, and we've never really quite rebounded from how much money the state was putting into public education. There was a lawsuit that was recently found that what the legislature, my colleagues and I were doing was unconstitutional. So in a bipartisan fashion, a commission was created that went all around the state to hear from education leaders about what's good, what's bad, what's wrong, what do we need to do differently. And with that came a report that said, here are the steps over the next 5 years on the amount of money that to go into public education to rectify and provide the constitutional amount, so to speak, of money into our public education system, because the Pennsylvania state constitution requires that the legislature provide for a thorough and efficient public education. And what the governor has done is he took that first step in the report and incorporated it into his budget. That report was bipartisan, so I am hopeful that what's going to happen is we put that money in a bipartisan fashion. And what that will do is it will prevent our public schools from having to increase taxes, and it will help sort out the situation to better and more equitably fund our public education system, including Norristown.
Well, that's great. I mean, I know it's happened over time. It's taken a long time, but it looks like the wheels are turning in the right direction.
It absolutely is, because we want to know that the kids are getting their education, but that we are being fair to our taxpayers as well.
Got it. And speaking of our taxpayers who are watching this, hopefully, what have you done for us lately here in East Norriton? I know you're a hometown girl here, and you know, I know you've done some stuff in 2023. Maybe you want to tell us about the grants that you've gotten for us.
Sure. So East Norriton applies for grant money pretty regularly through the state. So that's to help address some of the stormwater issues, as well as environmental issues and street cleaners. So whenever that opportunity arises, I write the letter of support. I advocate with who I need to advocate with, and try and get you guys money to get those things done, because you're working for the taxpayers to make sure that they have the best here in East Norriton. And
we appreciate that. We know you have other constituents in other areas. And like I said in the beginning, we share you with the state, but we're glad to do that. We're sort of running out of time. I wish we could do a lot more of this in detail. Maybe you'll come back again and join us.
Would love to.
But as far as contact information for your office, I know you have an office in Harrisburg, of course, and here in Norristown. What's the best way for people to contact you?
You can send an email when you go to the website, Cappelletti.com. You can call 610-768-4200. Whatever's easiest for you. Social media, Sen Cappelletti, SEN. We do our best to get back to everyone.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. Appreciate your time today. Good luck with your 1-year-old daughter here. She, like I said, she hasn't reached the terrible twos yet, but she seems to be quite a young lady. And we thank you for being with us today, and we thank you for watching ENTV.